The town hall, we call it 1870 to remind people of the difference of buildings in the town, was built in 1869 and 70. It was dedicated on March 1st, 1870, and it was built to replace a previous smaller town hall, which was located on the common behind the meeting house. The smaller hall had been built for town meetings and other public events, but it was really kind of an overgrown schoolhouse. And by 1870, the town had other needs and was looking to make things differently. The controversy over building a new building in 1869 was essentially decided by the idea of including in the 1870 town hall a memorial room for the soldiers that were lost in the Civil War. Berlin had a large number of soldiers lost in the Civil War for its size. We had many young men living in Berlin at the time who were working in shoe shops and other businesses, and they signed up from Berlin to serve in the war. So we had a more than our share size of men in the Army, and we had also more who died in the war. After that, the Memorial Hall was therefore built. The town had put marble plaques made with the list of men who lost their lives in the war, and those plaques were placed on the walls of Memorial Hall as where they are today. And they also made a collection of photographs of all those soldiers, all the ones that they could get. And we have all but 4 of them. We have a likeness on the wall next to the plaques to show what they look like. And then after the war, the Grand Army of the Republic, the Veterans Group, met in that hall for many years. And they also added their pictures, the soldiers who came back from the war. They added their pictures to the walls. So that is an incredible group of photographs of men of the town of Berlin in the latter part of the 19th century. The upper hall, the big hall upstairs, was of course intended to hold town meetings, where we did hold town meetings from 1870 until 1995. The last regular town meeting we held there was in a special town meeting in November of 1995. After that, we moved the town meetings elsewhere because of handicapped access issues. So we moved the meetings to the first Berlin Memorial School for a period of time, and then as soon as the second Berlin Memorial School was open, we moved the meetings there, where we have a larger hall and can handle it. Meanwhile, the 1870 town hall always had other activities in it. Dances. There was a ball there on the day of the dedication. There were a variety of different kinds of things like that. Also, it was a place that some new church organizations met. In 1871, the Unitarians started meeting there before they built their building in 1882. In 1880, the Methodist Church started meeting there, and they used it until 1887, when they got their building finished, which we now know as 19 Carter. In 1950, the Roman Catholic Church started holding masses in the town hall, and in 1953, they completed and dedicated the St. Joseph's Church on West Street, which again, that was yet a third organization that started in the town hall and then moved to their own church space. In addition to that, there have been many other kinds of events in the town hall. The Berlin Grange met there for over 100 years, actually. The Board of Trade often met there at various points of its life, and other organizations. It's always been a place that different organizations use too. It had public food. They had a kitchen, big kitchen added, along with other additions in 1904 to make the building larger and to make it deal with other needs. One of those needs was the public library. The public library was started in 1891. It first had the books in the selectmen's office, and then later in 1904 they got a special room for it across the hall. And it was there from 1904 to 1928 when the public library building at Carter and Walnut Streets was open. Years later, that same space that had been created for the library was reused after 1972 as the police department. So we had the police department there until 2000 when we moved into the present new public safety facility. In the year 2000, all of those offices moved out and into the former Berlin Memorial School as the town offices where they are today. Well, after the town government moved out, the building had always been used for many other community purposes. And while some of those had vanished over the years, in the time since the building was vacated by the town government, it has been used by many other groups. There were contra dances that took place every month with the Berlin Country Orchestra. We really had a lot of use in it prior to the pandemic. And the pandemic, of course, shut down our use of all of these public buildings for meetings and things for 2 to 3 years. And the use of the town hall by other groups has been reduced in the time since. We haven't really gotten the full use back that we had before that. Another thing I should mention about the town hall is it's used for plays and other entertainments, musical programs, and so on. In 1876, the centennial of the Revolution, there was a play that was done by local people of the Continental Congress. And the whole business of writing the Declaration of Independence and adopting it. And this was quite an event, apparently, based on the printed program for it. And that was presented, I think, even maybe more than once. So that was a play that we know about in the town hall at an early time. Many, many more plays were held there in the early 20th century. We have playbills for them and programs for them. And it's quite interesting how many were. The Grange sponsored plays, the Grand Army of the Republic sponsored plays, the American Legion sponsored plays, and the various church groups did too. In 1904, the addition onto the town hall also included a theatrical stage, a more significant stage with wings and spaces and a curtain. In the 1950s, we started a series of pops concerts that was started by the choir of the First Parish Church, but it included people from all groups in the town, and Barbara Krakauer was the longtime director of those. And there were several of those shows that were held between 1953 and 1997, 1998. But that was another of the many entertainments and things that were held there.